Have you ever been two sentences into a really good idea, one that you've really thought through, and somebody cuts you off? They don't even wait for you to land the plane. They just jump right in. And you're standing there thinking, I wasn't even finished my thought. If this has happened to you, whether you are in a sales presentation, you are speaking to a group in a meeting, whether you're in corporate or you're a coach, you are not alone because getting interrupted is something that actually does happen. And there's a couple of reasons why it happens. And that's what I want to share with you today. Hey, I'm Laurie-Ann, and you are listening to Be in Demand. This is the podcast that helps you use speaking so that you get seen, get heard, and become the obvious next choice for that big opportunity. Okay, why I see this happening. And there's a couple of reasons. One is the people who are listening, they get a little anxious, if you will. They want to make sure that they don't forget their question. And they're not even willing to wait to see if you do answer their question. They want to jump in and make sure that they get a chance to answer. And the other more important reason is they've no idea how long you're going to go on speaking until they get their chance. So instead of waiting for their chance to ask a question or share their thought or idea, they're just going to interrupt. And there actually is a way so that you can kind of cut this off. And this is something that I work with my clients, both coaches and consultants, and my clients who are in corporate. I help them with this, and what I call it, is you're going to pace the audience. However, it's not the same if you're in corporate compared to if you're a coach, a consultant, using speaking as your best form of marketing. So I'm going to share both of these, and I'm going to share them separately. So in other words, it's a universal problem. However, the fix or the solution, depending on who you are and where you're speaking, is going to be different. And real quick, before I get into the specifics, because I want you to actually use this and not just nod along while you're listening. I know it's August and everybody is talking about fall like it is somewhere down the road, but honestly, it's only a few weeks away. And I want you to enjoy the rest of your summer. Put the phone down, get in the water, whatever your last couple of weeks of summer is. The people who are going to really come out on top at the end of the year are the people who planned ahead. And planning means September. So if you're in corporate and you've got your eye on that next big promotion, let's get on a call and talk about what's actually going to make you stand out in your company, because working hard is not a strategy. And if you're a coach or a consultant, this is the perfect time to start writing your signature speech. The fall conferences are getting booked, and I've had clients step off the stage and book 26 speaking engagements from one talk. I've also had clients who have earned $500,000 from their signature speech. That doesn't happen by accident. So the link is down below for you to book a call. Okay, so let's just say that you're a coach or a consultant, and I'm going to teach you how to pace the audience, but yours is different than consultants. The way that I teach my clients to have a signature speech, there is a methodology. It's built in blocks. And the first block is your opening. And that is to get the audience to lean in. This is not the place to say, I'm going to share with you 4 different tips or steps that's going to help you do XYZ. Nothing makes people lean back and fold their arms than hearing the agenda. So your beginning of your speech is designed to get people to lean in, put their phones down. And then you immediately go into your authority section. And it's your transitional phrase is what I call it, where you can share with people how many tips or steps you're going to be talking about in your value section. And in your value section, you're going to do something very similar to corporate. You're going to start calling out first, the second step, and finally, the last step. So you're pacing the audience, and your audience is thinking, I know where he or she is in their presentation. This is the last tip, and there's going to be a Q&A section. So that's what we're doing. We're allowing the audience to know where we are in our presentation so that they know, oh, I'm going to be able to ask questions after this last tip. Now, I would say it's a little bit different if you're on a sales call. On a sales call, I would share with people how many different ways there are to work with you that you're going to be sharing with them. And how you can word that is there are 3 different ways that I work with people. Here's the first one, and you can explain that. How does that feel? Always checking in with people. But on a sales call, just like what corporate I'm going to share with corporate, you're letting people know here's one way, here's the second way, and here's that last way. This way, the person who you are on the call with, that you were doing your sales demo or a presentation for, they know exactly, I've heard this one, I've heard the second one. They're not guessing. How many more ways are there? Now, if you are in corporate, this is a little bit different. I'm going to teach you the exact opposite of those coaches and consultants because I want you to actually tell the audience, tell the people that are in the meeting how many points there are. How many different updates are you going to be making on this particular project? Or maybe you are updating on several projects. So you would tell the audience, I have 3 different updates for the 3 different projects that I'm in charge of, or my team is in charge of. Then you're going to name them. Okay, the first update is, then the second update is, then the last update is. You're pacing the audience. You're letting them know that was the first one. Now we're moving on to the second one. Now we're moving on to the last one. And you get to decide when you take questions. But I would always take questions at the end of your presentation for corporate, not for coaches and consultants who are giving a speech or are delivering an in-demand signature speech. Now, if you're also in corporate, you might have slides and your slides might be busy. I know that one of my clients works for a very large financial institution, and they actually have a rule about slides, and they can't have too many slides. So sometimes the slides are very, very busy compared to the slides that I would have my coaches and consultants crafting for their signature talk. So with those busy slides, I would always name that, yep, this is a busy slide. And here's how we're going to move through this slide. I want you to focus all the way to the left, and we are going to move towards the right, or if it happens to be top to bottom, let the audience know where they should be focusing their eyes so that your audience or the people that are in the meeting aren't looking around the slide trying to read everything, trying to figure out where you are. Guide them. Guide them through your talk. Guide them through your update. This will decrease their frustration, and they want to follow along with you. You have important information. That's why they're in the meeting. So share with them where they should be focusing their attention. When you help the audience stop the chatter that's in their mind about where is this person? Where am I supposed to be focused on? What am I supposed to be paying attention to? That decreases all of that noise. And now they're really focused on you and what you're saying. And the point about slides is that we have to also remember is that 83% of the population are visual learners. So you want those visual aids, but keep in mind that if you've got a lot of information on there, because you have a lot of information to deliver, help them focus. You know, one gentleman that I worked with, he was in aviation safety, and his slides could be very busy as well. And sometimes I just told him, I said, you just got to call it out. This is a busy slide, but here's the part that I want you to focus on. Focus on this part of the graph, and here's what it means. Here's my interpretation of this. Here's what you should be taking away from this information. So, quick recap. You can see that it's very different if you're a coach or a consultant speaking versus you're in corporate. Being able to pace the audience is very different, but also very critical for people to pay attention to you, for people not to get lost in your presentation, and letting people know, hey, this is the last tip, this is the last segment, so that they know that this is the part where you can start asking your questions before you move on. And one other idea that I want to share with you is knowing how long your close is. So for coaches and consultants, you've heard me say that your Q&A should be before your close. Know how long your close is. For corporate people, know how long your segment is in the meeting. Really try to stay within that parameter. So if it's 10 minutes, nobody is going to bark at you if you are only speaking for 9 minutes. But if you go 12 to 15 minutes, you're taking somebody else's spot. And remember, the meeting has boundaries. So really try to respect the boundaries that you have been given. So I want you to just pick one meeting this week and try this out just once. And if you're a coach or consultant, I want you to pick that next time that you're speaking. Just give this a try and see what happens. See if you get better quality questions at the end. And listen, I want you to enjoy your summer, and I really mean that. But if some part of you is already thinking about what the fall looks like, that next big promotion, finally getting your signature speech written, you can start booking stages like some of my other clients. But don't wait until September to deal with it. I want you to book a call with me now while it's quiet. That link will be down on the show notes. And until next week, I want you to be in demand.